we here? We are all connected to the stars. We are all one. Who do you want to be?
Hey guys, I'm Sally Alka. I am a psychic channel and I run the Facebook page Gaia Intuitive, where we talk all things spirituality, extraterrestrial contact, dreams, astral experiences, and much more. You can book a one-on-one session with me and also book tarot readings if you head over to Gaia Intuitive. All the prices and the booking system is all online there. So most of you do know that I've been navigating the dream state consciously and lucid my entire life. Today, we will be exploring yet another astral trip, one of my more memorable experiences. So as always, I love to hear your thoughts. Please drop a comment below. I love to hear your experience as well. So this experience began with me conscious in a room. Now, this room was like an outdoor room of some kind, and I was all of a sudden just aware that I was there. It was full of actually a lot of plants and things. And in the room, I was aware that I'd just come from somewhere. But as I became more lucid, the means of which I had got in there kind of dissipated. Now, I had a feeling that I wasn't really meant to be in there. That was my initial feeling. So I did take a moment to kind of look around, navigate my surroundings and sort of see what was in the room. As I turned around, I saw a door and the door was open. I saw a group of people being escorted down this hallway outside the door. Now, there was quite a large group of people, probably like maybe 20 or 30 different women like me, and they were all just being taken down. So I slipped out and just merged into the group and continued to move down the hallway with them. We went down into an opening which led to an auditorium. Now, this auditorium, everyone was very, very quiet. We had to be quiet. And in the lower levels of the auditorium, there were just hundreds of physician type people. They all had clipboards and pens and were like noting things down. We all came out and were told to go and take our seats. So I proceeded to start walking down the stairs. I walked all the way to the bottom, and as I walked across the stage to one of the people in the front who was waiting for me, I experienced the inability to almost walk and use my legs. It was really difficult. I felt like I had been completely beaten and they were jelly and I couldn't walk properly. As I walked over to her, I sat down and she quizzed and asked me a lot of questions, and they were doing the same thing to everybody in the room. So they were asking us questions, but they were whispering. They were doing it really, really quietly. And they were asking us questions about things we enjoyed and things we didn't enjoy. So our likes and our dislikes. And really, like at the time, I remember thinking they were quite mundane questions, but it intrigued me as to why they were asking those specific things. So eventually that finished, and we were then grouped and taken somewhere. So as we were taken as a group and like let go through these doors, I became aware that it almost felt like a game show. So it felt like we had signed up to experience or put ourselves through, whether we were consciously ourselves signing up for that or whether we were maybe duped into it, I'm not sure. But we were in some kind of like a system of some kind of a game. Now, we were placed in boxes once we walked in, and I drew just something here to show you. So the boxes were a lot like this, where there were people in each one, and the outside was open, and so people could view in each cubicle. And the outside was like see-through, like it didn't look like there was anything there. However, it was like a invisible barrier. So the people in the cubicles, myself being one, we couldn't get out at all. Now, what happened was there were beings that were coming around, and they would gather and come around and go to each cubicle, and they would pay some kind of money or some kind of some kind of trade system where they would be allowed to spend time with each person. The point of them doing this was that they would approach each person and basically spend their time preying on that individual's deepest fears and traumas. And they would be allowed to do absolutely anything, absolutely anything you could possibly think of to inflict fear and trauma. They brutalized people. They were raping. They were cutting. They were everyone had their own fear as well. So some of them were maybe like, for someone that had an eating disorder, like food, or for somebody that had childhood traumas, that's what it would be. And these things were being inflicted on these individuals again and again and again, and then they would get put back into the cubicle, and then the process would just continue. Now, this did go on for quite a amount of time. I did go through this. It was very, very physical for me, very lucid, and it was one of the most traumatic experiences that I have had. I think part of me was slightly conscious to the fact, I mean, I navigate the dream realms quite frequently, and I do so with an element of no fear. So I think that I slightly suspected that it may be a training program. I later on confirmed that it was. Now, after that had gone on for quite a long time, and everybody, I really saw the impact and the effects that this trauma and fear had on people. They were completely broken down to their last, really like their last breath. Some of them were that broken. But one of the people found a way out somehow. And once they got out, everybody started to escape. There was an absolute rebellion. There were people everywhere being slaughtered and being brutalized. There were, I think we got hold of like a truck or something like that. So that was being rammed into a building, and some of that foundation was coming down. Their offices and things, a lot of them had backed out, or the ones in charge, a lot of them had sort of like left because it was quite extreme. There was a lot of destruction in the way that what we ended up doing was we let ourselves outside and ended up scaling a really big wall to escape. Now, I remember scaling the wall, and as I looked back, I remember seeing like almost the remnants of like, or like reminiscing, daydreaming, and seeing many other walls. And it was a feeling like I've done this before, and I've done this like many, many times. I've had to escape. And so I continued to fight, and I got over the wall. And as soon as I got over the wall, I had a like a vision, and the vision was a picture of the outside of the walls of this system. And there were people laughing, joking, hanging around, celebrating. And a lot of them were celebrating what was going on inside. However, there were some groups that I noticed as I walked through, and in my mind, and I was walking through these groups, watching them. And there were a few rebellion groups that was, I guess, like standing up for the ones being tortured and brutalized, that was saying, this is wrong, this needs to stop, you need to let them free. Now, so I found that really interesting, an interesting aspect. Now, going back to the wall, we ended up finding a door and leaving. And as we left and went through the door, the people on the other side greeted us and took us back in. And we were so broken down and so beaten that we didn't even, we couldn't mentally even comprehend or conceive what had just happened. And we were just completely at their mercy. And we came back and we were drugged, and we were just completely like taken back to a state where we were usable. And again, we were then led out down a long hallway back into the auditorium. So there seemed to be this never-ending cycle. We were made to think that we were like the winners, and when we got out, again, it was just this recycling. So I didn't really today want to go too deep into this, because the brutality and the trauma that I not only experienced but saw others around me, and they also fed off my fears of, you know, my family and things like that. So they were brought as avatars into the mix to really like fuck with my mind and try to jilt me. Now, these are tactics that can be used sometimes with training programs and things like that. Whether this training program was, I personally believe that one of the reptilian groups I am working with did simulate this program or helped simulate it. However, a lot of the time we actually do this for ourselves as well. Our higher self obviously has our best interest at heart and is always there to push us further and ensure that we are strong enough to get through what we need to get through. So I think that this in all was a really, really great, it gave me a great understanding of the extent of the mental warfare that goes on in these trainings. And I'm very lucky that I've had the experiences that I've had previously, because I think that a lot of that sort of brutality and that mental torture can be too much to bear sometimes. I hope you found today's video interesting. As I mentioned earlier, I really do love to hear from you guys, and what resonates, what doesn't, and any of your own experiences. I think that the dream realms, or the astral realms, the higher states of consciousness, are absolutely crucial in figuring out different things about ourselves and our journey. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon. Thank you.